Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Kerton. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest, small business chat. There's a unique kind of resilience that develops through the process of building your own thing. It's the kind that comes up from showing up to your desk for hours and hours on end each and every single day without getting quote unquote paid. It's when the exciting early days bit has somewhat passed. Your brand is all developed, it's looking amazing, you know what you're working towards building. Your website is done, although naturally we'd like to waste some time tweaking and improving it. You've been developing cool new skills and you've told your network all about what it is that you're doing, which is a real fun kind of dopamine hit. And then across those subsequent hours spent at your desk, you're having impactful conversations that are generated from proactive and responsive networking, which you've been working hard on. You're regularly creating valuable and well-received content, getting the opportunity to pitch on partnerships and client opportunities, and developing new ideas, all things that could render a brilliant reward, including but not limited to the all-important commercial return, because after all, we didn't start a charity, right? You started a business, and revenue is pretty important to, the basic human needs stuff. But here's the thing. All of this action that you're doing, all of this incredible positive action, it isn't generating any tangible reward right now, commercial or otherwise. Every conversation we're having, it creates more work. Every new idea fills your mind and your to-do list further with more actions to do, exciting or otherwise. The BAU stuff that keeps us moving forward seems to swell in the time it takes. And maybe if you're like me, you're constantly on the lookout for an email response to the 25 follow-ups you end up sending for everything that you're working on. Maybe you haven't had any notable highlights to talk about lately or for a while or at all, no PR coverage or limited feedback or testimonials yet, no exciting events attended. You, my friend, may be in the magic dark for my fellow woo-woo loving friends, or speaking more generally, you're in that build phase. And it's the all-important part where you're building the house, but you can't get in there yet. This somewhat thankless, pretty well thankless stage is where entrepreneurs are built. And this is a resilience that makes and breaks us a million times over every single day. You might have guessed from my passionate rant here that I am in said magic dark and have been for a bloody long time now. Yeah, there's been some wins for sure, plenty of great wins, but the major wins that I'm seeking that are needed to break through are seemingly just out of my reach. And there's not much more that I can do to get them other than continue to show up every day and keep working. As we all should be, I'm not under the impression that any one opportunity or one breakthrough will make or break the success of what's actually being created. And motivational success measures can be found in a multitude of places, most importantly, having a positive impact on our fellow humans. But we are in the business of business, as increasing our wealth is what enables us to do more of what we love and more of what's great for the world. The simple fact is that the path of that when you're building a business is not linear, it's not predictable, or it's not really particularly rewarding most of the time. There are going to be days when you show up at your desk when you want to give up, or you just feel deeply infuriated by all the efforts you're making that just aren't getting the return. This is when we're built. I think it was Samantha Wills in her memoir of Gold and Dust who said it took 12 years to become an overnight success. That aside, I'm sure like me, you don't have 12 years to become an overnight success, but I like that it encapsulates that feeling that we do need to take the time and things happen in small increments over time. These sorts of headlines that it takes 12 years to become an overnight success aren't the kinds of things we see covering social media platforms, where it does and it can seem like everyone is jumping into their own thing and making more than enough cash with all the flexibility and happiness they could desire. But whether you're building something alongside a regular income or you're doing it full time, 2 feet right in the deep, the hardest part of building is the bit when you're seeing no reward. This time could last months or even years. Most likely it'll happen for a bit. You'll be in that stage and it will improve and then it will happen again. What's pretty cool is that so far we've stuck through 100% of the hardest days. That alone is a sign that we can keep going. And so we all need to find the reward that we need and that we want. I don't have a silver bullet for you or for myself about how to consistently keep showing up at the desk day in and day out and building when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Particularly for my corporate friends who have been used to over the years showing up and doing a great job and then generating an income. That shift where you're just working and nothing happens is really, really challenging. It's challenging for everybody. And it's also really interesting because, that whole feast and famine thing, sometimes we get nothing and then we get a huge flow and it's wonderful. It's a really strange experience. But I will remind you back to said silver bullets and how we don't have them, that in most instances, the success that we desire, the thing that we're trying to get to, a multitude of things, is likely happening in conversations and processes outside of what we can see right now. That work that you're doing, that work that we're doing, it is not wasted. It is building to something. It is building skills. It is building potential. It's getting you closer to being ready for the things that you want. It's all a building process. Continuing through that phase, that frustration phase where you just want to see something come through, one of the big opportunities that you've been pitching on land, a big piece of PR that's going to really give you that very wonderful dopamine-inducing hit of incoming leads and opportunities, or the viral piece of content, or whatever it is. Continuing requires consistency and resilience and a little bit of faith. And in my instance right now, a shit ton of exercise and increased time meditating to keep myself from imploding. If that is you right now, this episode is, of course, for you, to show you that we all have these moments. Whatever we're seeing other people doing, we're only seeing a very small part of what it actually looks like to show up at your desk day in and day out and work without seeing the immediate return. It's all about finding what keeps you going and what keeps you growing through those phases. And of course, making responsible decisions when it comes to financial and income and what it is that you need to allow you to keep showing up to be building the things that you want to build. I had an email come through on my LinkedIn, a DM on my LinkedIn from an amazing woman from the other side of the world, from where I am right now in Australia, who talked about this podcast keeping her going in some of her magic dark moments that we all have. And it was such a heartfelt message that it enabled me to make this episode for you. It gave me what I needed to be able to sit down, create something that I think could be helpful and prepare it for you to put it out into the world. It gave me the motivation and the resilience that I needed to continue getting through what is a very hard bit, the bit where we don't feel like we're getting the reward that we need, but perhaps we get the reward that we maybe forgot that we were having, the positive impact reward, and just a little something to keep reminding us to keep going. So I do hope that it's been helpful for you. As always, please get in touch with me. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment. There's a little comment section underneath the episode so you can just connect with me right away. Come and find me on LinkedIn. Come and find me on Instagram at Unemployed and Afraid. Literally every platform you can imagine, I'm there in some way. And I want to hear from you if it's supporting you. But just by hitting play, you're supporting yourself. And that is incredibly important to me. So let's keep doing it. Let's keep showing up, building the business that we dream of, the business that we desire, and just getting it done. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Kerton. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.